Emily Cissy Houston is an American soul and gospel singer. After a successful career singing backup for such artists as Roy Hamilton, Dionne Warwick, Elvis Presley, and Aretha Franklin, Houston embarked on a solo career, winning 2 Grammy Awards for her work. Houston is the mother of singer and actress Whitney Houston, the aunt of singers Dionne Warwick and Dee Dee Warwick, and a cousin of opera singer Leontyne Price. Houston was the grandmother of Whitney Houston's only child, Bobby Christina Brown. Born Emily Drinkard in Newark, New Jersey, to Nicholas Nitch Drinkard and Delia Mae Drinkard, she was the 8th and final child. Older siblings were brothers William, Handsome, Nicky, and Larry, and sisters Lee, Marie, 1922-2007, and Anne. Houston's father Nicholas Drinkard was born to Susan Bell Drinkard, of Dutch and African American descent. His father John Drinkard Jr. was of Native American descent. The Drinkards had owned a substantial amount of farmland in Blakely, Georgia, at a time when it was unusual for black people to have large land holdings. The asset was gradually depleted as they sold small portions of land over time, to resolve the continued legal troubles of a close relative. After Houston's 3 oldest siblings were born, the family relocated to New Jersey during the Great Migration. Her parents emphasized the children getting educated and being involved in the church, and her father encouraged Houston and her siblings to sing. In 1938, 5-year-old Cissy's mother Delia suffered a stroke and died of cerebral hemorrhage 3 years later. Houston's father died of stomach cancer in March 1952 when Houston was 18. Cissy went to live with her older sister Lee and her husband Mansell Warwick. The Warwicks had 3 children, a son, Mansell Warwick Jr., and 2 daughters, Marie Dionne Warwick and Delia Juanita Warwick. Soprano Leontyne Price is a Drinkard cousin. Houston was raised Methodist Episcopal and has said that she found Christ at age 14. Houston attended Southside High School. Houston's singing career began in 1938 when she joined her sister Ann and brothers Larry and Nicky in the gospel singing group The Drinkard Four. Lee, who would later become the mother of singers Marie Dionne Warwick and Delia Juanita Warwick, later joined the group along with Ann Drinkard Moss and Marie Drinkard Epps, and the group was renamed the Drinkard Singers. It was while performing on Drinkard Singers that Cissy Houston made her television debut on TV Gospel Time. Houston and the Drinkard Singers regularly performed at New Hope Baptist Church and later recorded a live album for RCA called A Joyful Noise, becoming one of the first gospel acts to release a gospel album on a major label. The Drinkard Singers also earned success performing at Carnegie Hall and the Newport Jazz Festival. In 1963, then about to give birth to daughter Whitney Houston, she formed the Sweet Inspirations with Doris Troy and niece Dee Dee Warwick. Later, under contract to Atlantic Records, Sylvia Shenwell, Estelle Brown and Myrna Smith formed the lineup. During the mid-1960s, the Sweet Inspirations provided backup vocals for a variety of artists, including Otis Redding, Wilson Pickett, Lou Rawls, The Drifters, Dusty Springfield, and Houston's niece Dionne Warwick. They appeared on Van Morrison's single Brown Eyed Girl. Houston performed the descant on the Aretha Franklin hit Ain't No Way. In 1967, the Sweet Inspirations sang background vocals for the Jimi Hendrix Experience on the track Burning of the Midnight Lamp. In 1969, they were hired to sing backing vocals for American singer Elvis Presley in Las Vegas on his return to live performances during July and August 1969. Presley often introduced them at shows by saying, "They really live up to their name, ladies and gentlemen, the Sweet Inspirations." Many of these performances can be heard on the All Shook Up and Live in Las Vegas Live records. Performing with Elvis Presley was Houston's final gig with the Sweet Inspirations. As her children were growing bigger, she decided to stop touring and focus on her career as a recording artist. As Cicely Blair, she cut her first secular solo record This Is My Vow on M&M Records in 1963, following this up in 1966 with Bring Him Back BW World of Broken Hearts on Congress. Her final solo single before recording with the Sweet Inspirations was Don't Come Running to Me BW1 Broken Heart for Sale, released on Cap Records in 1967. On these early singles her name is spelled as Cissy Houston. In 1969, Houston signed a recording contract with Commonwealth United Records and recorded her solo debut LP Presenting Cissy Houston, which was released in 1970. It contained several well-received singles, including covers of I'll Be There and Be My Baby, both of which made the R&B charts. Following the release of her debut album, Houston's contract was sold to Janus Records in 1970. She recorded another album and several more singles in the early 1970s, which included the original recording of Jim Weatherly's Midnight Train to Georgia in 1972, later a #1 hit for Gladys Knight and the Pips. She continued to record with Janus Records until 1975. Houston performed as backing vocalist on jazz flautist Herbie Mann's funky disco single Hijack, 1975, album Discotheque, 1975, and album Surprise. In 1977, Houston was signed by Private Stock Records, working with arranger/producer Michael Zager on 3 albums. The second included her big disco hit Think It Over, which climbed to No. 32 on the Billboard R&B chart in 1979. She represented USA at the World Popular Song Festival in 1979 with a track called You're the Fire, landing second place and winning the Most Outstanding Performance award. This also appeared on her 1980 disco-flavored album, Step Aside for a Lady, again produced by Zager, but released on Columbia Records, on EMI in the United Kingdom. Houston's versatile cross-genre singing style has kept her highly in demand as a session musician with some of the world's most successful recording artists. Houston, along with Dionne Warwick and Dee Dee Warwick, sang the background vocals on the original recording of Time Is on My Side by Kai Winding, released by Verve Records in October 1963. She was one of the backup singers on the Paul Simon song Mother and Child Reunion, 1972. Houston sang backup on Bette Midler's 1972 debut album, The Divine Miss M. In 1974, Houston sang backup on Linda Ronstadt's multi-platinum Heart Like a Wheel, a seminal album that topped Billboard's pop and country album charts in early 1975. In 1971, Houston was featured on 3 tracks of Burt Bacharach's self-titled solo album, Mexican Divorce, All Kinds of People and One Less Bell to Answer. During 1975 and 1976, she worked with jazz flutist Herbie Mann on 3 Atlantic albums, Discotheque, Waterbed, and Surprises, featuring on 3 tracks, Violet Don't Be Blue, J.J. Cale's Cajun Moon and Easter Rising. In addition to her work as choirmaster at New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, NJ, Cissy performed frequently at clubs in NYC including Michael's, Sweetwater's, 7th Avenue South, and Fat Tuesday from the late 1970s through the 1980s. Whitney Houston, her daughter and backup singer, increasingly sang solos with Cissy's band. They would collaborate on Ain't No Way, originally a Cissy Houston and Aretha Franklin vehicle, on which Cissy sang Cissy and Whitney sang Aretha. In 1996, Houston received the Grammy Award for Best Traditional Soul Gospel Album for Face to Face, an album that contained a gospel version of How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You. The same year, she contributed 1 song to the gospel soundtrack album for the film The Preacher's Wife, which starred her daughter Whitney Houston. In 1998, she won her 2nd Grammy for her album He Leadeth Me. She has also continued to record infrequent secular material, and in 1987, Houston and her daughter Whitney recorded a duet titled I Know Him So Well, a cover of the original by Barbara Dixon and Elaine Page from the Broadway show, Chess. This song also became a single in early 1989 as the 6th and last single release, in selected European countries, from Whitney's album Whitney. In 1992 she teamed up with Chuck Jackson for an album of solo and duet recordings entitled I'll Take Care of You. Well, gospel singer Cissy Houston is battling dementia, according to sources close to the Grammy winner. She's in the early stages of dementia, a source told Radar. She repeats herself a lot and doesn't remember what she says. She just says she's getting old. Well guys, what are your thoughts? Do tell us. Thanks for watching.